Hello everyone, my name is Prajakta Dhage. I am from Department of Zoology, KTHM College, Nashik. Today I will be conducting a lecture for MSc Part 2 and the subject is soft skill. We will be dealing with the chapter Unit 1 and the topic is going to be microscopy and it is going to be a second lecture of the series. So let's begin. I will be talking about light microscope. We have already seen the structure of simple and compound microscope in the last video. Today we will actually see how it works. For understanding light microscope, you first need to understand the properties of light. So light is a form of energy and our eyes are sensitive to light waves. We perceive light in the form of colors and in the form of intensity of light. That is strong light, dim light in this way. So some of the properties of light are as follows. It is amplitude, frequency, wavelength and polarization. Let's begin with the amplitude. Amplitude is the minimum displacement of a wave from equilibrium position. When the amplitude of light decreases or increases, there occurs difference in the intensity of light, either in the form of darkness or in the form of brightness, and our eyes are able to detect it. When a light ray passes through a medium, there occurs decrease in the amplitude. This change is due to change in the refractive index of the media. Now, light rays can pass through a cell, but various parts of the cell have different refractive indices. So, the structures in the cells which does not at all bring about change in the amplitude may appear transparent, and those which have higher refractive indices can bring about larger change in the amplitude appear darker. Okay. Now let's talk about frequency of light. So it is the number of times a wave crest passes a particular point in 1 second. Light waves of identical frequencies can combine or interfere with each other and are called as coherent rays. The light waves of different frequencies cannot interfere with each other and are called as non-coherent rays. Now let's talk about a wavelength. It is the difference between the two wave crests. Okay, you can see it in the diagram also. Our eyes are sensitive to different wavelengths of light in the visible range, which is 380 to 740 nanometers, and we see it in the form of colors. Let's talk about polarization. It refers to the light wave which vibrates only in one plane at right angles to the direction of the wave of propagation. It differs from the ordinary light which vibrates in all the planes at right angles to the direction. Okay, so these are all the properties of light. Now we will see how these microscopes work. So basically we are seeing the principle of microscopy. The human eye has a limitation. It cannot resolve image which is less than 5 microns. So we require the microscopes for studying cells making. Now let's see a simple microscope which is a single lens. It is able to distinguish between 2 points which are less than 0.1 mm apart when placed at a normal viewing distance of 25 cm. A simple microscope, for instance, consists of a single convex lens or a combination of lenses functioning as a convex lens, single convex lens. Convex lens magnifies the object and produces a magnified image of a near object, which appears to be at a distance of a distinct vision. The enlarged image is formed on the retina. It shows the details which cannot be seen with the naked eye. Now magnification obtained by a simple microscope or simple lens cannot exceed 3 times due to the distortions which are produced at higher magnification. The distortions may be in color, form, or in contrast. If you want to have magnification of more than 3x in a simple microscope, a combination of several lenses can be used. The combination of several lenses fused together act as a single convex lens. These lenses that are fused together are called as elements. Each element cancels out the distortion and defects produced by the other elements. The net result of combination is the formation of an image free from distortion. In this way, a magnification of about 20 times can be obtained in a simple microscope. Okay, now let's see what are resolving power and limit of resolution. Okay, so we have already seen what is a resolving power, but I will again tell you what it is. It is a capacity of a microscope or any other instrument to distinguish two pointed objects lying very close to each other. Okay, and let's talk about limit of resolution. Why I repeated this? Because I wanted to explain you what is limit of resolution. Resolving power has been already talked about in the previous video. I am repeating it. I have repeated it again. So limit of resolution. It is the minimum distance at which two objects appear as two distinct objects or entities. Okay. So the limit of resolution is inversely proportional to the resolving power. Okay. And it is directly proportional to the wavelength of the light used. Now we'll move on to the compound microscope. I know we have already done this in the previous video, but the compound microscope is used both for obtaining magnification and resolving power. It uses visible light as a source of illumination. We have already seen the structure of compound microscope in previous video when we were trying to have a brief idea about what a microscope is. Now we will focus on the detailed importance of each component. Okay, let's begin with the light source. Now in this particular image, what you can see, I have highlighted it with a red circle, is the mirror. A reflecting mirror is placed below the stage which reflects the sunlight on the object. Nowadays, the microscopes have inbuilt illumination systems in the form of electric lamps. Can you see a red colored circle here, and this highlights the light source. So it is generally placed on the opposite side of the observer, thus avoiding any unnecessary disturbance in the path of the light and thus in the formation of the images. These devices cancel the dependency on the sunlight and prove to be a uniform source of light. So we are not going to be dependent upon the sunlight for our microscopes, and it also gives uniform source of light. Now next one that we are going to see is the mechanical stage. Now it has seals which permit accurate mechanical positioning of the slide. It is now in the next image you will see it is actually a mechanical stage, okay, where you are able to move the slide sideways as well as backwards and forwards. It also helps the controlled movements of the slide. It will not only facilitate the controlled movements of the slide but also help in observing a particular spot on several occasions. If the slide's position is recorded after first viewing, the point can be mechanically centered for subsequent viewing. If you see here, you have a scale present. So you can point out the location and you can place the slide, and you need not you are not required to scan the slide again and again. You will eventually find a perfect location where you have a perfect, say, section, or where you have the specimen. Okay, now the lens system. Now we have already seen the lens system. The compound microscope comprises of three kinds of lenses, which are condenser, objective and ocular or eyepiece. Now let's talk about the condenser first. We all know that it is located. So this is basically the red marked structure is basically the knob for moving your stage, or not stage, you're moving your slide back and forth and also sideways. Okay, now moving on to the condenser. It collects and focuses the light rays into the plane of object but takes no part in the image formation. Focusing of the light increases the intensity of the light. Within the reasonable limits, the more the light, the better is the resolution. Okay, the intensity of the light can be adjusted by adjusting the aperture diaphragm of the condenser. If the aperture of the diaphragm is reduced, the amount of oblique light rays reaching the object also get reduced. This apparently increases the contrast of the image. Okay. Now we'll move on to the objective lenses. We have already seen the type of objective lenses. So you have 4x objective lens, you have 10x objective lens, 40x, 100x, but at a time only one can be used. So it is mounted on the nose piece. So each objective consists of element fused together to function as a single lens. The number of elements varies from 5 to 15 depending upon the magnification and type and quality of the magnified image that you are requiring. The objectives collect the light rays from the object and form a magnified real image at some distance above them. Okay. The oil immersion lens or the 100x lens is used with a cover glass to cover the material on the slide. The thickness of the cover glass is generally going to be 0.17 mm, and this value may not be of any significance when lower power objective is used and there is a large gap between the cover glass and the objective. However, when you are using oil immersion lenses, the thickness of the covering glass must be very, very precise in order to obtain a perfect image. Okay. Now let's move on to another part, which is the oculars or the eyepiece. Okay. I want to discuss this thing also. First, what you see over here is some description on the objectives. Okay, I'm still talking about the objectives and objective lenses. You see some description written over here. We'll see what that description is. Okay, now this achro is written, which means that this is a chromatic objective. Okay, then you have this 10 written over here. It gives the magnification, which means that it is a 10x objective. Now another here it's written here it's written 0.25. Okay, what is this? This is nothing but the numerical aperture. This is 160. What 160 mean is that the objective is corrected for an ocular tube length of 160 mm. And what you see here is 0.17. It is nothing but the maximum cover glass thickness to be used with this particular objective. So this is all about that description. Now we'll again move on to the oculars or the eyepiece. Those are located at the top of the body tube. A monocular microscope consists of one ocular, while a binocular microscopes have two oculars of similar magnification. The choice of several oculars is available depending on the magnification required. Generally, oculars with 5x, 10x, 12.5x and 15x are available. Okay. The ocular magnifies the image formed by the objective. So the first image will be formed by means of the objective, and that image will further be magnified by means of the ocular. Okay, the magnified image is virtual and inverted in the plane of the object. Next, we also have a pointer. Sometimes we also may have a pointer. Okay. A pointer eyepiece is a device used to pinpoint a particular structure under the microscope. It is a simple instrument with a sharp pointer attached to an adjustable hinge joint and small handle. It is fixed with the ocular. The rotatory movement of the handle is used to direct the pointer in the microscope field. Okay, so when you are using it, you will actually be able to focus a particular cell. So let's take an example. You have a cells, ample of cells, mitosis you are observing, and you want to show a particular stage in it, say anaphase, then you can pinpoint that particular cell having anaphase in it, and by means of this particular pointer. Okay, now the next structure that we are going to talk about is the body tube. It is of the standard length, and it is going to be of 160 mm and is available in three forms. Either it is going to be monocular, binocular, or it may be combined photobinocular. Okay, the monocular is used for viewing with one eye at a time. Okay, the students' microscopes that we see are monoculars. The binocular tube has the advantage of providing the viewer a comfortable viewing for a prolonged period using both the eyes. Okay, so in a binocular tube you can use both the eyes. This essentially requires an extended body tube with a prismatic eyepiece. The combined photobinocular tube has provision for light rays to enter the eyepiece or the camera located above. The binocular tube also has a provision for adjusting the interpupillary distance. Okay, here you can see in the red particular thing, here you can adjust the interpupillary distance depending upon the individual's facial proportion. Okay, the oculars also have the provision for focusing separately as required for each eye. Okay, and this can be done by adjusting the length of the individual ocular tube. Okay, now moving on to the next part, which is illumination. The light microscope with built-in illumination either use Köhler illumination or critical illumination. Okay, the critical illumination is the one in which the light source, condenser and the objective are placed in the same plane. Okay, this causes uneven lighting of the object. Okay, this particular critical illumination is going to cause uneven lighting of the object. Now these defects are taken care by using Köhler illumination. In this type of illumination, there is adjustable collector in the lens which is in front of the source of light, and it focuses the source in the plane of the iris diaphragm of the condenser. As a result, the object is evenly illuminated. Okay, so this was about the illumination system, and these are all the important parts of the compound microscopes along with its function. Here you can see everything in this particular diagram, and this was all from my side for today's lecture. Thank you.